one thing. It's usually a pop culture.
Yes, right.
It usually has like, something like for everybody. This is chocolate. So you really know what you're getting into here. It's chocolate, people.
That's right.
That's it. So this has been great.
I can't add anything to that.
Just keep saying chocolate.
That's it.
I just keep
There's
saying
more
chocolate.
chocolate.
Chocolate. Yes. Well, speaking of a chocolate, Kevin, let me ask you this.
What?
I didn't mean it that way.
Okay, that's
leave now. I'm just going to leave now. Yes. I'm embarrassed. So I had represented Kevin just a few minutes ago. Up until now. But I love you, Kevin. Yes, I love you, Kevin. Anyway, Kevin, welcome. I don't know what to say after this embarrassing moment, so I'm just going to let you handle it. I'm going to let you handle it. I embarrassed myself.
Oh, no, this has been wonderful. Yeah, it's been so much fun. I'm not a huge chocolate fan. Get out! But I found some things that are good. It'll be wonderful. They got empanadas here.
Yeah, that's
There you go.
Yeah.
Great coffee. Excellent coffee.
Some wine here around.
Very good.
Good wine.
Have you tried the bacon chocolate, though?
No, not yet.
Oh, I'm going to.
Who's had the bacon chocolate so far?
I have not had it.
What?
No one.
I get the bacon.
What did you come for?
It's Sunday. Bacon, chocolate, come on.
It's so
It's a
good.
brunch right there.
Well, I had it for breakfast because it had bacon in it,
Well,
so I
we
thought that counts.
definitely want to say thank you for coming out and coming to see us with being with what we get to do, which is, the Muppets and stuff like that, and we love that you guys are such fans of these wonderful characters that we've
Seen
had.
some great outfits.
Yes,
Shirts.
Hey, Kevin, real quick, just remind people what characters that you did play for those that may not know which ones that you represented in character.
Oh, they know. Oh, they know. No, from Dinosaurs, Baby Sinclair. I think my favorite was the announcer for Pangea TV.
Yes.
Howard
Yeah.
Hand-Up.
Yep.
I thoroughly enjoyed it.
If you think of the name and get the pun intended.
Hello. And they got through. They got through ABC. And then I performed on Sesame Street, Elmo, and Baby Natasha, and Hoops the Owl.
Oops. Yep.
Fun characters. And my favorite was Wolfgang, the seal. He was not popular, but everybody.
Oh no, remember Benny? Benny.
Oh, and Betty Bunny.
Benny was the bellhop.
Probably my favorite that you've ever done.
Really?
Oh, I think so.
Oh, Benny was great.
He
was a grouch rabbit. It was awesome.
It would be great to get Jerry Nelson's fat character with Benny, but it never happened.
Oh.
Yeah.
Do you guys know this character from Sesame Street, Benny?
Yep.
I gotta get downtown.
Yeah.
Yep.
I gotta
Yep.
get to the sales.
I loved his squeaky teeth, which was a sound effect added in, correct?
Sound effect that was great.
Yeah.
A little nasty looking. He was a small puppet.
Yeah.
And they literally put brown paint all over his fur to make him look even
Yeah.
worse.
He was a grouch rabbit.
He was a grouch rabbit.
Yeah, he was a grouch rabbit who became the bellhop for the furry arms.
That's right.
When we were around the corner, which was
And
a
then
great
there's Splinter from Ninja Turtles, which was a lot of fun.
Yes.
We did that, shot that in Wilmington, North Carolina. We did a 1 and 2 we shot in Wilmington, which was a lot of fun.
And Clifford.
And Clifford
Yes.
from
Muppets Tonight.
From Muppets Tonight.
Jim Henson.
Jim Henson Hour, yes. Jim Henson Hour. And then I don't know if some of you seen Happy Time Murders.
Don't say it like that. Some of you have seen Happy Time Murders. Well,
I did Mr. Bumbly Pants. It was a bunny.
What was the name?
White
That had a
shirt.
little trench coat on.
What was the name?
Bumbly Pants.
Bumbly
Pants?
Okay.
Yeah, Mr. Bumbly Pants. And then Kyle, who ran the repair shop, car repair shop. Kyle, I got to do, which was really fun. It was fun. We shot it all in LA. So yeah. So those are my characters. Those are some of the characters. Because over the years we got to do so many with Jim and over the years.
Yeah.
you even part of the new Dark Crystal that was on Netflix.
Yeah, I shot the Dark Crystal. We were there. We were in London for a year shooting 10 one-hour episodes of the prequel to Dark Crystal, and that was amazing. That was really amazing. And Louis Leterrier, who was an amazing director. So that was a lot of fun.
Who's seen it? The prequel on Netflix. It's great. It's amazing. Because what's wonderful is that they went back and did it, you know, would be considered old school, like very practical with the puppets and the sets.
The sets were all practical, really. Yep.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. It's gorgeous to look at. It's wonderful.
Yeah, Louis Leterrier did the most recent Fast and Furious. He directed the most recent one. Louis is an amazing French director.
So we start, of course, now with Steve Whitemire. All of us know
Speaking
Steve
of
Whitemire.
vanilla.
Yeah. You guys are just, I know you're going to do this to me, but...
It's silly. It's today. It's silly.
Yes,
It is.
We got silly yesterday, but
Well,
we didn't get to be silly.
share with some that may not know all the characters, not all, because there's so many of them, a plethora that you have, but give the main list of people.
Today's word is plethora. Use it in a sentence.
They
Well, I
warned me
did
this was
a
going to
plethora
happen.
of characters.
You guys
Oh
got
my-
together and set me up. I know this.
What have I done? I did a bunch of stuff. All started out with Miss Piggy's little dog Fufu, which was it was like an accessory for Piggy. It could have been a purse, you know. But Frank Oz, who was Miss Piggy at that time, treated Fufu like a purse. It was an accessory.
Yeah.
It was cool though because this little dog was a puppet of an actual real dog, so it was very realistic looking, and we would intercut between the two. So you'd see this real dog like walk down a set of stairs, go behind something, and then the puppet would come out on the other side. So I had to make the puppet slightly more human than the real dog, but it had to match. You know, it had to move the same way and wag the tail the same way. And it kind of started me down this whole attitudinal thing towards the characters that I wanted them to be really living, breathing things as much as possible, you know. I mean, there was a point in time when, in the early days of Sesame Street, the puppets just danced around and were crazy.
Oh, yeah.
And over the years, things suddenly got more and more subtle. You know, they became more and more like living, breathing people. But there was Fufu, and then I sort of tripped into Rizzo the Rat, who I love. Yeah, probably my favorite character I ever have performed, because he's just so sarcastic and afraid of everything and hungry. Traits of my own. And then, you know, many over the years. I mean, Wibbly Fraggle, Sprocket the dog on Fraggle Rock.
That's my favorite of your characters, Sprocket. I love Sprocket.
Sprocket was a challenge, as you might imagine, because, you know, he didn't actually speak English. Briefly on our first day of rehearsals with Jerry Parks, who played Doc on that show, the human actor, I kind of went in and I thought, well, you know, we'll just do this. And Jerry turned and said the first line of dialogue to Sprocket the dog, and Sprocket kind of made dog noises back, and Jerry kind of looked at Sprocket and looked down at me, and we thought, oh, we're kind of in trouble here. So Jerry Parks was an amazing, award-winning Canadian actor, and yeah, I mean, really well known for dramatic roles and big parts in your Stockholm Fraggle Rock. He had to learn not only his own lines, but he had to learn everything that Sprocket was supposedly saying so that he could convey it to the audience, so that the viewers, it was a nightmare for him. And then Sprocket became more and more human, but he never spoke words, you know. And then eventually, of course, you know, I was fortunate to kind of inherit Kermit. And, great. That green one.
Mr. The Frog.
And I love doing that. It's really, as much as anything, is a tribute to Jim, you know, who taught so much over the years.
Well, thank you.
Steve was the ideal choice because Steve worked with Jim for so many years. And you know, we as puppeteers, we connect to the mannerisms of the puppeteers, especially with Muppets, because Steve knows this, is that, you know, Frank had a bunch of different Muppet characters, and Jim had a bunch of different Muppet. And then when you wanted them all in one scene, we all had to take on some of the characters. And so we needed to know the mannerisms of each one so that you couldn't tell the difference. You know?
Yeah.
And so Steve was there, you know, from the beginning with, you know, as far as the Muppet Show and everything. And he was always around Jim, and he, you know, so we all observed each other to be able to do that. So he was the totally ideal choice.
Well, thank you for that. And it's an interesting thing, though, because I was fortunate enough to join. Jim hired me when I was 19, so I was very young, and I thought I knew a lot about puppetry until I got there. But I had the basics, but there was so much to learn, and I really learned from the real, like the Muppet Masters, the original guys, Jim and Frank, Jerry Nelson, Richard Hunt, and even Dave, who had only been there for 5 years, Dave Goles. And they all had very different styles of performance. They brought different things to it. Frank and Jerry were really actors. Richard was an actor. Dave was an industrial designer. So, but the thing, Dave was very, very precise in his movements as a puppeteer. Everything was very precision oriented. So I was this young kid kind of sitting at the feet of these guys, learning their way of doing things, and all those different ways. And I was able to kind of take from all of them to kind of develop my own style, I guess. But I was always drawn to Jim's characters, Kermit in particular, and Ernie, and
Do you have a specific memory that comes to your mind with working with Jim Henson?
At my age, I have very few memories.
I know.
No, what do I have? I mean, there are tons of them. One was how generous Jim was in working with me as this young kid who was so inhibited as a performer. I knew how to do puppets. I mean, I'd done a lot of puppetry up until the time I met Jim, but I was not by any means an actor. And you really have to be to do this well. We have to develop characters, and the only difference between us and any other actor is that we're putting it out through our hands, So it took me a long time to get comfortable with voices, with even reading something from a script. So much of my work prior to that had been improvising ad lib. I put on a puppet, I could talk forever. But when it came time to read a script, I had no experience with interpreting what was written in the script, So Jim was just ridiculously patient about letting me learn all those things I needed to learn, and that whenever,
Noel, thank you so much. One of my favorite characters, Bear in a Big Blue House. So thank you for taking the opportunity to join us. That's right. Thank you for that, by the way. And I know you brought a portable bear, if you will.
Yes, he stuck a bear in the dryer. This is the portable version. Yeah, exactly.
That's good. So, again, thank you for joining us here at Chocolate Expo. What are those, tell us about Bear in a Big Blue House and what it was about, and just so something not have been experienced.
It's back on Disney Plus, thank God.
Yes.
So that a whole new generation can watch it again. It's basically this, this Bruin who owns a home, and what's nice about Bear and playing Bear was that Bear is one of the rare kids show characters where he's an adult. So he was like the adult figure, and then everybody else were all these little kid characters. And it became the kind of thing where, Bear's voice is very similar to my voice, and Luna's voice was the voice of actress Thick Pen, and Ray the Sun was the voice of Jeffrey Holder. And then it became sort of a clear thing that the adult characters on the show would have these very clear, distinctive voices. Even Tyler, who did Hop and Trilo, is Doc Hogg in this very clear, distinct voice. And then it became like the kid characters would have very cartoony-like voices, like Tutter and Trilo and Pip and Pop and Ojo and any other of the kid characters, especially when Tutter went to mouse school. So I actually got to play Tutter's best friend in mouse school, named Moss. And so I actually got to do like another character on the show. I actually got to be hold up a little puppet. It was just it was so weird.
How many years was that running?
It was we did 4 seasons.
Oh, 4 seasons.
Yeah, and by the 4th season, Mitchell Queen, who created the show, realized that the kids who started it are starting to do more things. And so it was decided that our kid characters should start to do more things. So Trilo became more artistic, Ojo started riding a bicycle, and Tutter started going to mouse school, which just happened to be in the town of Woodland Valley. So we even did a whole new opening for it because it also reflected that the 4th season, we had everything laid out, and then something happened on September 11th of that year, so that's when went back and just retooled everything so that the theme of the 4th season was about community and heroes. And heroes aren't necessarily wearing capes or athletes. They're actually the people in your life, like your parents, your neighbors, firefighters, and all that. So that's why we redid the opening so that it showed the entire town of Woodland Valley, leading up to the big Blue House.
Now, can I ask, how did you get that part? Like, did you just walk in and like, I have the voice, I'm Bear, that's it, that's how it works, that's how it works.
No, it was funny, it was like, I got a call for an audition for this show that Hinton was developing, and I went, and it was for this big character that was going to be the game show host from outer space. And I got into this puppet, which is very similar to Audrey 2 that Marty designed. Like sitting there thinking, why did you just get Marty Robinson to do this? Like, why am I here? And so I left and thought nothing about it. By the way, it didn't get picked up. And so later that day, I got a call saying, no, we want you to come back. There's one more character we want you to audition for. And so they faxed me, yes kids, faxed me the picture and the sides. And so I lived just like a half hour away. So in the cab, I'm looking at the sides and I'm looking at the picture, and the picture was like cute, these little animals, and there was like a big moon, and in between them stood this bear. It's like, okay, he's cute. And so I walk in, and as soon as I walk in, I'm told, use your own voice. I'm like, what? It's like, but we're the Muppets, we don't do that. But they wanted Peter Van Roten. Yeah, he's like, use your own voice. Because all that day they had heard people come in, it's like, hi, I'm a big old bear. It's like, hi, welcome to the big blue. They didn't want that. They wanted something that, at the time,
It seems more organic.
yeah, organic and more that, because the show was designed for parents and kids to sit together. And it was also in response to, like, they didn't want another character that at that time was also a very large purple character who had a very distinctive voice, and so they didn't want that.
Beth said hi, by the way.
There you go. And so they just wanted that. So I would do my Uncle Noel mode, which was like very lighter, just like whatever, like when I visited kids of my friends, just like, what do you want to do? And so I got inside the prototype, and it was like bear without the fur. And so I could see through and see the monitor, and it felt so comfy, it felt so good. And then I thought, wait a minute, no, it's a Friday afternoon, it's 4:45, they already picked who they want, they're just making sure they made the right decision. So I just said, screw it, I'm just gonna have fun. And so I used the entire space, and then it came to this part in the script where it said, he smells something. And I smelled it, and then he realizes it's the viewer, and I thought, fine. And I just jammed the nose into the camera and pulled it out. It's like, it's you! And jammed it in again.
And that's very iconic.
Yeah.
That scene.
Yeah, just like, and I did it, and that was it, and I never thought about it again. And then, like, that Monday, that's when Hinton called back around 6 o'clock and said, no, we'd like you to be there in the big blue house. And I was like, what? So pretty much like, if you ever have to do an audition, just go and have fun. Just that's it, and never think about it again, because you never know.
And share real quick, I'm excited about the project you've been working on. Is to share the
Oh, it's the show that I've been trying to develop for a long time, and I have a YouTube channel. It's called The Show Me Show,
Yes.
and it's for kids with autism and special needs. And
that's dear to me because I'm certified in autism, so I love that community.
And I've pitched it to like so many streamers, and who've passed on it because it's too niche. And it's like, well, what show is it? Niche, really?
It's a big niche.
I know, exactly. Yeah, yes, it's a niche that's sort of increasing every day. So it's neat. So what I'm going to do is like sort of like rethink it again and just go back and work on the YouTube channel, because what I've learned now is if you have enough followers on YouTube, that gets the streamers' attention, and they realize now, oh, they've got numbers. We can make money now. So that's what I'll try and do. Because Miss Rachel, who started on YouTube, she's going to Netflix.
But you're also working on another project currently, though. The Puppeteer project, the Audrey.
Oh, I'm the swing puppeteer and swing voice of Audrey 2 for Off-Broadway's Little Shop of Horrors. So, got like 8 shows coming up this week.
See him on his
And I also have
Instagram.
a cabaret show I'm doing in March at 54 Below. So,
I've been following you. I know.
There you go.
I know where you're going.
this is the infomercial part of the discussion.
Today's services are brought to you by.
Right, yes. Yeah, so been trying to keep busy. Be creative, that's the thing. Just like, be creative.
Steve, I know we've worked together for years. Is there something that you can share with the crowd that are maybe want to be puppeteers? They want to get into this line of work. How does one even crack into being a puppeteer?
I'm sure we can all talk about that.
Any of you.
I just love the fact that for an interview, Jim said, I never set out to be a puppeteer. And I was just like, what?
Yeah.
You're the reason why we're doing this.
That's right. But you know, it's I mean, my own experience with Jim may be similar. I don't know. We're all different, but we all overlap in that. Is that Jim's idea of an audition when I came in was to spend about 45 minutes with a puppet on and then spend 3 days just getting to know each other. You know, it was far less about my abilities as a performer than did he see any potential first, you know, but am I going to fit in with the group? That was important. And evidently he thought I would. But how do you break into this? I don't know. I always tell puppeteers who ask me this, sort of have to decide what's behind your motivation to be a puppeteer. I think, you know, are you looking to work with the Muppets, or are you looking to be a puppeteer? It's not necessarily the same thing, right? I mean, we do what we do, and we're all fortunate to have been a part of the Jim Henson world. But if that weren't the case, I don't know whether, but I would have always still wanted to be a puppeteer because it's what I loved. I just wouldn't be sitting up here, I guess, you know. But I encourage anyone who has a spark of interest in puppetry to choose, first of all, what type of puppetry you love, whether it's Muppet style, which is so popular, but there are other kinds of puppetry, and just concentrate on bringing to life whatever it is you have to the best of your ability. Don't get tied up in the idea that, oh, I've got to work on Sesame Street, because it may not happen. You know, it may not happen. It might happen. It also might not happen.
Yeah.
But enjoy it.
Yeah, when people ask me, how can I become a puppeteer? And I always say, do you want to be a puppeteer or do you want to be a Muppeteer?
Yeah.
Because you just want to be on Sesame Street and the Muppet Show, which is fine. Who doesn't? I mean, yeah. But if you want to be a puppeteer, that's different. So I say, like, check like the Puppeteers of America, check to see if there's a local chapter of that, check to see if there's a theater community nearby that has puppetry in it. So if you want to be a puppeteer, also there's more resources now you can look up on the internet, like Google, like, you know, YouTube, still TikTok, so you can like look and just like see things and see like good puppetry and all that. But it's always interesting, like seeing like the early seasons of Sesame Street, like season 1, watching like Jim and Frank, Ernie and Bert, in terms of like manipulation, it is not polished. It's pretty bad. Yeah. But by a later stage. Oh yeah, but in terms of like character, it is solid. It's like you can watch because you know Bert and you know Ernie, and it's like, and as they did it, because they did it like every day, so they just got better and better and better. Right. But the characters were set from the get-go, which is amazing.
Kevin, what's the input as well? Because I know you have so much talent.
I talked about it yesterday that you know, I was watching Sesame to learn how to build the puppets. Wanted to see why don't I see a scene or anything, you know? And so I was building my own puppets and I was watching what Jim was doing, but it wasn't that I wanted to be a Muppeteer or a puppeteer. I did like to work with him, but it was more of what I could do locally.
Right.
You know, I incorporated puppets into my schooling, you know, any way I could. I was doing church. I was, you know, doing puppets for church and schools and.
This is where you and I used to say our stories are so identical that we're actually brothers.
Yes, we're joined by the soul of our feet.
Right.
But you know, I was just constantly, you know, building puppets and trying to perform them, and then I started doing it locally at the city fairs and fairs in Baltimore, and then lo and behold, Stu Kerr, who was this wonderful weatherman at Channel 2, he was starting to do a new children's program, and he asked my mom and dad, could I come up and audition for him, and I did. And so that's the start. He was really good friends with Bob Keeshan. Some of you know Bob Keeshan from Captain Kangaroo. So he got me to do Captain Kangaroo, and then from there I got into meeting Kermit Love, who was one of the wonderful designers and builders of Snuffy and Big Bird, and he then had me meet Jim Henson at Sesame Street. So it was a continuation of that. But it started with, again, you got to start with just your passion for it.
Yeah.
You know, and really, I mean, if you can't start with building your own puppet, really start with that, because that gets your imagination going. You start to think about voices. All of that is incorporated. Jim was really surprised once I got up to meeting him, how much I did, how much I knew, and that was because of all the support that I had locally, you know, from Stu Kerr to, you know, and I learned a lot from Stu Kerr, just, you know, doing it locally. That he was really you know, Stu didn't know. Stu never met with worked with Jim Henson. It was just we were all by, you know, just playing it by ear and creating it. So
it's kind of what you're saying is an important thing, though. The idea of starting to build your characters, even if you're not good at it, because really, if you think about it, you're emulating exactly what Jim did. You know, he started out building puppets and thinking about who they were as he was building them. It's really a good exercise. You know, as you're building your puppet, you're thinking about how it might sound, how it might act, things it might say. You know,
and a voice could just be like your voice, slightly lighter or slightly lower. It could be your grandmother's voice or your neighbor's. It doesn't have to be anything too. Don't overthink it.
Right.
Yeah. Just listen to people. Like Carol's great story about trying to think of a voice for Oscar.
Harold Smitty, who performed the Big Bird in
Oscar. On the way to the studio, he had a cab driver who had this kind of voice, and it just stuck with Carol. So he got to the studio, he put Oscar, and he just did that voice.
So just a weird question for myself.
There is no weird question.
Well,
Look at
it
this.
will be.
oh, I don't know. It's Tim. There might
That's
be.
right. You
A little
guys,
red monster, a frog, and a guy who was a bear. Come on. There is no weird question.
I've worked with you guys for years, but one of the questions I don't think I've ever asked, have you, maybe you can't answer it, have you taken anything from the set that is at home? I mean, come on,
Yes.
I want to know.
Oh yeah, I did. There's like the Big Blue House in the living room. There's this bust of
Yeah.
a bear, and on the first day, I went in and I flipped it over and I wrote my name. I wrote "Property of Noel MacNeal." And I put it back on the shelf. And the last day when they called, "That's a wrap," I went to the bookshelf and took it under my arm and walked off. And I still have it.
Steve?
I can't think of. I'm sure I have. I can't think of anything offhand. There are a number of times when, like when we did the Great Muppet Caper film.
Yes.
There were a lot of fashion models in that film. You may remember. They had beautiful clothing, and I know that they were kind of giving it away. And my wife got a bunch of the jewelry. And it was, you know, fake jewelry, but it was pretty big outfits and things. Oh, this is a weird one. Did any of you ever see?
We all know you.
Did any of you ever see a special called the Fantastic Miss Piggy special? Way back.
It's on YouTube now.
Is it?
It's on YouTube.
If you haven't seen it, go look at it. It's Miss Piggy. It's back in the '80s, trying to do her own television special. John Ritter is there, George Hamilton, and Andy Kaufman as this character named Tony Tony. But John Ritter, I don't even remember the context. At some point, is dressed in drag, and he's wearing this pink poverty dress. I don't know why, but I have that dress.
I don't know why.
I have the dress.
You've never shared that story with me.
Okay, I never wore it. I have John Ritter's dress from the Fantastic Beasts.
Hysterical.
Oh my God!
Wow.
That's great.
Very silly.
Kevin?
Top that.
Yes.
There's certain things, and I know that we know this because even Tim knows. There's sacred things that you want from Carol Smitty. Carol is so important to me. So I have a feather that he's given me.
Yes.
He is an amazing illustrator. He wanted to be a Disney animator, you know, and every year he would do personal drawings for all, you know,
Yes.
for all, every season, and he would give that out as Christmas gifts. So that was, I mean, it gives me chills.
And Deborah, his wife, is still continuing
Yes,
the legacy.
Yeah.
Right. But I think that the one thing that I kept, because those were the things that were sacred to me with Sesame, is when we did Elmo and Grouchland, and they made these beautiful blankets. That was Elmo's blanket. It was so important to the whole idea. So I took one of those, and I still have those. And I'm waiting for my daughter to hopefully have a child, so I can get that blanket to her. So that's a sacred thing. It was very sweet, and it was very important to that movie, that blanket. So we had a bunch of them, so I got the tape.
Please.
Because I just thought of a couple of mine. Characters that you guys have done that are like one-off, one-time, strange characters that you love doing. Can you think of any? Because I mean, like we all have our main characters that we did. Oh, maybe it's a bad question.
No, it's great. Again, Howard Handupney is one for me. And also Benny is one. I remember, always had, like, Benny was the most nastiest, grouchiest.
When you mentioned Elmo and Grouchlight, it reminded me of the Stuckweed.
That was great.
That's
Steve
song.
Whitemire performed the Stuckweed.
I loved it.
But we got to do a song together.
Yeah. Oh, it was just the best.
And he was a beautiful puppet too.
Great puppet and just a weird character.
And never got to do it.
It was one time.
Yeah, for me, it's like I get one-offs because I'm the resident puppeteer for HBO's Last Week Tonight with John Oliver. So anything big and stupid, it's me. So, and it just runs the gamut from Jeff the diseased lung and a yellow cowboy hat to, a moose getting a colonoscopy to like Mr. Nuttabutter, the foul-mouthed squirrel, to Steamboat Willie, who's now public domain. And just like those weird one-offs. So John's great. John's also very respectful of puppets and puppeteers. He's great.
Talented, very talented.
Wonderful.
Yes.
Really appreciate. He's been on Sesame, done stuff like the stuff we've done with Cookie with Rudman. And it's like it's great.
It's hysterical.
Oh yeah, it's so
But again,
funny.
it's the respect that he has. He gives, when he's working with you.
Oh yeah, and for me, like doing the rehearsal with him, my goal is that if I can get John to laugh, this is going to work. And so that's always my goal, to make sure John laughs at the rehearsal. So it's really good.
So to go into, because we've all worked with some amazing celebrities for sure over the years. I mean, it's been all of us. It humbled us, and we were very, very proud to be able to be involved with some amazing people. I got to sing with Ray Charles, with Elmo. And
tell them your story. I gotta tell them Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, please.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite stories.
No, because we were talking about special moments.
This is so good.
Every year at Easter, they have the Easter roll at the White House, and it's always Al Roker's there with all the walk-arounds but there's a lot of stuff that happens, and so you get there early, like 2 days before, to do rehearsals on the White House lawn and all this. And this year, actually, it was expand upon it, please. Will Smith and Jada and Willow, I think that's the daughter. She did that song with my hair back and forth. So she was going to perform that at the Easter egg roll. And so this was the first time. Normally, the first lady would come down. This time it was Barack and Michelle and the girls and the mom and everything. They all came down to greet because, of course, there was Will Smith and Jada. And we had no. But Roscoe Orman, who plays Gordon, and Leslie Carrera played Abby. We were there to perform, and we all got to meet. So we were like waiting because they were all over there hugging and kissing. And everybody with Will and the family. And then finally they came over to us, and of course we wanted to take a picture. And I had Elmo, and I was right beside Barack, and I just ate his head.
It's so insane to me.
And he's laughing, and it's a wonderful photo. And I thought, the Secret Service was going to kill me. The next day, right before everybody started coming, Michelle and the girls and her mom came back down, and I said, was that, I did this photo shoot about it, and I said, was that okay? She said, what? She said, I blew it up and framed it in my office. It's wonderful. So, it was a wonderful moment, and I have that photo that I cherish, because it was a wonderful, fun time.
I just love that story when the fans ask certain places you can go to that. I just love hearing it.
Well, we've got, over the years with Muppet Show with Steve, he's got...
Well, that was a cool time to show up at that show when I was so young. And another great thing about Jim was how collaborative he was. So even the day I showed up, he was already he was asking my opinion on things, which is incredible. And so I was never treated differently in front of all those big Hollywood guest stars than anybody else. So when they walked in, I was just one of the people that was there. So I was able to, we met all those people. Some of them were more approachable than others, but it's always fun when you meet celebrities, especially people that you've admired yourself, you know, and they turn out to be great people. You know, sometimes those relationships hang on.
Yeah, it's great. Like, luckily with Bear, because he's an adult character, so I got to go on like Hollywood Squares. Yeah, so you've been on them too.
Those are my favorite.
And it's like, it's great, like having like these celebrities, like
They're non-scripted when in Hollywood Square.
oh yeah, you come up with your own jokes. I
Well, sometimes
jokes.
they give you jokes too.
Oh, they do?
Half the time we don't use them.
Oh,
Right, but some of the way it's laid out, like the first 2 rounds, like you can joke. They encourage you to bluff, so that
PBS.
But then by the third one, just like you either know it or you don't.
Yes.
But you come up with your own jokes. Like they asked like Bear, so I came up with the joke like Bear. A lot of rats can do this more than a camel. Do what? And Bear said, stay in law school.
Yeah.
So things like that. But then I got to meet like, you know, like I the recent picture of like Bear and like Macho Man Randy Savage. It was great. I did a promo with Bear with Susan Lucci where she's sitting on Bear's lap and Bear's saying, Tucker, hit the VCR, record. And they were great. Like it was wonderful. You just like depending upon the celebrities, like they're just as you know happy to meet you as you are of them. So so I've lucked out. I've never really run into somebody who was just like not into like being with the puppet or being on. So, I mean, if you're on Sesame Street, there's a reason why you're there. So yeah.
That was wonderful as far as with Sesame. You know, a lot of these some actors and some movie stars, they have movies that their kids can't see. Right. Yeah. Because it's adult. And what happens is they come into Sesame Street because that's something that their child can see them on. And so it was always wonderful that we had Johnny Cash. And what was really wonderful is we were huge fans of everybody. And so what we did for Johnny Cash is everybody wore black. And a lot of times when we have really wonderful celebrities, we sit them on the stage, 1 through 3, Sesame Street, on the steps. We all the crew, everybody, cast and everybody come in. And so it was a wonderful shot of Johnny in the middle and all of us in black and everything. And he was very, very humble.
Can I add one quick thing about Hollywood Squares? I think we've all done it. And I found that when Kermit was on there, I had to like stop bluffing or give it away because everyone trusted everything Kermit said. And every time I would bluff, they would just believe it because they trusted Kermit the Frog. And I felt so bad about it. People were losing just because they trusted Kermit.
Now, how were you positioned under? I mean, the way I can visualize, I see it. Where were you? Were you on the
It's not that comfortable. Yeah, you're sitting flat on the floor with your arm in the air, and you can't really ever let the puppet die or go dead for the entire time because they cut to you at random.
Right.
Like somebody will make a joke and they'll cut for a reaction.
Yeah.
So you never knew when you were going to be on, so you always have to be alive. You couldn't rest.
And it's longer than a typical show that we, the viewers, see. It's actually longer working on the set because
It's a
there's
little
cuts.
longer. It was at least, 15 minutes?
50 minutes. But also you do all five days.
Oh,
Right.
I didn't.
Oh, wow.
You do Saturday in the morning and then you do a Saturday and Sunday and then
The whole week.
And then you do the whole week. You know,
Yeah.
so the celebrities would have to go down and get dressed for the next day.
Because they're usually
What was
working during the week.
Yeah. What was nice, Elmo was naked. Elmo, so
I never knew that.
So you do
It
3.
was a wonderful show.
Oh yeah, you do 3 shows in the morning and then you do the 2 after lunch. Oh yeah, it'd be great. And I got to go on when Whoopi Goldberg was the producer, and then got to go back when Henry Winkler took over. And both wonderful people.
I did that too.
Yeah. I asked Whoopi because we wanted to have her be a guest voice on Bear, and she said sure. I was like, love to. And I said, look, I do have to warn you. If it's Disney, it'll be scale. So it would just be a favor. And she gestured to me like to the set, and so I was like, oh baby, don't worry, I'm fine. And she came on. She was the voice of the great Bandini, who pretty much teaches music to the cast.
I had Brad Garrett on one of the squares, and I was sitting beside Joan Rivers.
And he's tall. He's
but,
massive.
Yeah, but what's funny is, I started doing good as through Elmo. I was doing
Yes.
Brad Garrett's voice. Hey, what are you doing? And everybody was falling out, laughing, coming with that voice coming through.
Yes.
And he was on the floor. That tall guy, you didn't even see him in the square.
I'm sure.
He was laughing so hard. we have it's you know, and Carol Smitty talks about it too. How we've had an amazing time with that game show. Oh, the Muppets and everything. Matter of fact, the Muppets took squares one time. Didn't you do that?
What's that?
The Muppets took squares.
Hey, let's take some questions from
Yeah, we should.
Mary.
We should.
We have our microphone.
I think Mary's out there.
Mary, somebody, yeah, there she goes.
She's been
Awesome.
waiting and waiting and waiting.
Yeah,
Stand by.